everybody, and welcome to the Meditation Museum. Um, I'm glad that you can make it out today with the weather being exceptionally sharp and cold. It's freezing out there. Did you notice? Yes, it's just all a matter of interpretation, you see. And so whenever you're living from a perspective of interpretation, you can change your understanding of your karmas. Does that make sense? When you're living on the basis of your interpretation, you can change the perspective of your karmas, which are your actions. I'm so delighted to be here because I was not supposed to be here. And all I knew is that these 5 incredible young men who are going to be with us today to share with you their journey through money and family and service and just the way that they've been able to take care of their own lives. I was just looking forward to getting the recording. So that wherever I was going to be, I'd be able to at least, have a little preview on how well they did. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sister Jenna, and I have the fortune of helping to keep the space running in terms of just holding its sacredness and the beauty, but I'm not able to do it alone without the incredible staff and friends and fans and support that we have garnered in the last 17 years that we've been in the area. But let me give you a little bit of an update. About 6 years ago, we started the Meditation Museum as an experiment, just to see if it would be of service. In other words, other than having what we used to have was our center right down the road here on Georgia Avenue, which was just a place you would come in and we would sit and share with you the knowledge of Raj Yoga meditation. I wanted a space that we could have our own thoughts. Could somebody work with the audio a little? Could you turn the audio down a little? Perfect. I wanted a place that we could come to where we didn't have to be telling you what we felt life was about. We wanted you to be able to come into a space that would offer you the courage to look at yourself deeply. And if you had any questions, we were available for you. And that if you were intrigued by some of the artwork, the images, the subtle stories, the funny smiles on the folks' faces here that you see all the time, that you could ask some questions just to help you by in life more and more. So 6 years later, we have reached a point where we're able to offer 120 to 150 events every year. That's amazing for any organization. And I think that deserves a big, big bat. I know like for a lot of us, we feel like having a space, that's it. So you come in and basically what we offer with our organization, which is a global one, is some fundamental courses and classes. One is known as Raj Yoga Meditation, which is the basis of our philosophy. And then the other one is like positive thinking. And then we have like stress management programs. But I feel like we do so much more than that. We are facing ourselves unlike we ever have before. And we have been given the permission to do so in this fortress, in this incredible state of consciousness. And the organization is called the Brahma Kumaris. So it's not a religion. We are not going to ever force you to come here unless it's a really big event. But we are just open because we are learning so much about who we are that sometimes we get intoxicated, and you can see that, like they're figuring something out. And there's nothing more powerful when you meet somebody that seems to hold the key to some mystery. You're kind of like, what is that? You look kind of extra happy today. What did you do, And so you usually want to know what that is. So a lot of the members inside of the BK community, which is now we have about 9,000 branches in 120 countries with about 1 million volunteers right now. Many of us are really here to be with you on the journey, and we are in service to first transform ourselves. And in that transformation, we're finding that naturally, when we sit and have a conversation with you, it is a story about what's going on with us. And when you're listening to stories, how do you feel when you hear stories? you relate, and then you start to feel like your own story is emerging. And that's what makes this community so powerful, because it's helping us to come to some consensus of ourselves, right? And when we talk to each other, we give each other permission to not only develop great listening skills, but we give each other permission to always strive to be better. You know? So in the media and in different formats, we listen to a lot of things, and some of them are good and some of them could be better. What we wish to create in the Meditation Museum is a space that there'll always be better for you when you come here. Always, right? So we want to thank you for that. So a month ago or so, we thought about a conversation that we feel is really important. And many of us have heard the word karma, but we're never quite sure of what its core definition is. If you're from India, you have a very interesting interpretation of karma. If you're from the West, you might have another interpretation of karma. Just for the record, when I throw out the word karma to you, what comes to your mind first and foremost? Karma. What does karma mean to you?
It's a kind of the weight of like your good and bad actions.
Wow, weight of your good and bad actions. Anyone else?
You reap what you sow.
You reap what you sow. Isn't that comforting? Yeah. It's a cycle. Good. Anyone else?
It's our deed and our words.
It's our deeds and our words. Very nice. Anybody else? Haven't you heard people when you're in conversation, oh, that's just her karma. And usually it's not when you just won the lottery, right? It's always connected to something negative. I would like you to think about the fact that karma is also very, very good. And actually 90% of our karmas are good. The 10% is why we're sitting here. So it's not to say that the 10% isn't powerful. Did you have a thought to share? Did you have a thought to share? No? Okay. No, your little angel over there. All right. So, go ahead.
I just finished reading the autobiography of the yogi.
One of my favorites.
It's a remarkable book, and he gave me an Indian perspective on karma, in which what's happened to us, it's not just what we do, but what's happened to us in our past lives influence our lives today, how we are in this body.
Right.
And so it seemed, we look at the world and so much seems chaotic.
Let me just come over to you because they're recording it live.
Okay, and so much seems chaotic and by chance that our karma is not entirely
Our own.
volition. There was one, I'm trying to get to the point now, I forgot what it is, 'cause it's not because I'm an old lady, no.
Oh, no, no.
So I did have a question about that karma. Oh, and how it relates to desire. As a Westerner, you know, I quite frankly, when I heard about nirvana and you had to reach nirvana in order not to come to earth, and you know, I was, oh, please don't make me
You
come
don't know
back.
what to do.
Please don't make me come back. What do I have to do?
Right.
And the philosophy would tell you not to have desires. You have to overcome your desires. And I thought, but that's what drives life, at least in Western culture.
Right.
How could you not have desires to keep you going? And it wasn't until I read Yogananda's book.
Paramahansa Yogananda.
Paramahansa's, you have to say the whole, Paramahansa's Yogananda's book.
Paramahansa Yogananda.
Yogananda.
Right, there you go.
Not until I read Yogananda's book that I understood how life is better without having these temporal desires in this temporal physical world, and how Babaji sort of put the final touches on, was it Yukteswari's guru-ness by satisfying by almost like magic, his one deep desire to see a palace.
I'm glad you're sharing that, because when it comes on to the philosophy of karma, we need knowledge. We need knowledge. And so the more knowledge we attain. Hey, Antonia? Oh, okay. So the more knowledge that we attain, the clearer perspective we will gain. And that's why conversations like this will be important. And so what I'd like to invite to you all now is that there are 5 young men who are living full lives, and each of them are carrying a unique story. From married with children, to never being married, to being in service to the world, to being forced to get married by your parents but not really ready for the commitment, but how do you honor your parents and honor your truth and your calling, to in what state of consciousness do we really look at money? How do we earn money and how should it be used? To even as far as what am I thinking and how my thoughts impact ultimately where I end up. So today's conversation is around these thoughts and ideas, and I'd like to really create as intimate as an environment like what we have already. We'll have a chance to do an open dialogue and conversation with the panelists, and it'll be my job to interview my brothers. In Indian culture, there are 5 brothers called the Pandavas, and the Pandavas are really brave brothers, right? And at the end of their whole journey in life, they end up on the mountaintop and they melt with a dog. I mean, they just disappear and there's like a dog there in the scene. Out of the whole story of all the karmas and unfolding, it ends. They're on the mountaintop, they melt, and there's a puppy hanging around, and that's it. And you kind of wonder, is it all of this issue, all this stuff that we keep fighting and struggling with, is it that small? I mean, is it really like that small? Like, don't take it so seriously? So without any further ado, I'd like to welcome Krishna Kappa, David Howard, Khelan Datani, Santosh Parabonia, and Julio Mendoza. Yeah, there they go. I was wondering when that was going to kick in. Could you play the music louder? How many chairs are there? Oh, okay. This is the first time we've ever had an all-male panel. Give them a round of applause. So wonderful that they could join us in their busy and hectic schedule. Remember that old-time movie? Wasn't that a winner? Yeah, it was all about victory, right? So to my immediate right is David Howard, who has been in touch with the Brahma Kumaris for about 17, 18 years. He will tell the story of when I was forcing him to give me, a proclamation for Daddy at the press club? He says it quite nicely. He's like, Sister Jenna pushed me to getting a proclamation for our head at the time, Daddy Prakash Mani. Actually, I felt I was just so motivated to be able to welcome the head of the Brahma Kumaris into Washington, and that was in 1999. So he has worked with the government for quite some while in doing as much work as he can to help to support administratively. To his right is Julio Mendoza, someone who I've come to really build a close affection to. Very, very focused on taking care of the family, and living at his home are 4 generations. And he's into health and how to bring health into the consciousness of the minds of people. And then we have Santosh Parabonia, who has a name that sounds Latin, but he's from Hyderabad. Go figure the karma there. And he's been my right arm, and he helps to keep the meditation museum going. He holds 2 engineer degrees. One is electrical, and he doesn't know how to undo a light bulb. And then the other one is a computer, I forgot what they call that, computer science degree. To his right is Brother Khelan Datani, a responsible father, husband of 2 young children, and in the corporate sector, and is constantly genuine about balancing his spiritual and his spiritual life and his life of responsibility of the physical needs of the world. And to his right is Brother Krishna, who has been with the Brahma Kumaris since he was about 12. Yeah, and he's now 14. You see how he looks about the same? Look, he looks like 14. So he has opened up a number of businesses, and he is an entrepreneur. He's also in the IT industry, a father of a young, beautiful young lady, and ongoing, unfolding his life in his relationship. So I welcome the 5 super spiritual heroes to the stage. Welcome again. Now, we all have a history with each other because I'm like their big sister. And big sister means you basically are a big sister. But what I've observed in each one of them is their love for God and their courage to keep making their lives better, even against their personal sense of power. So, sometimes you want to be better, but at that stage, you're not really ready. You don't have it, but you can't give up because you're way too far in the journey with yourself so far. And what I've noticed with them is that they keep leaning into it regardless of the struggles that they endure along the way. So what I'd like to do is maybe start with Krishna, since he's holding the mic, and I'm very affectionate with Krishna Bhai because he's just one of these brothers from India. He just makes sure sisters are taken care of, and so it's like no matter what, just make sure you're okay. And he has been through a lot in the last 16, 17 years. And what I have observed with him is his consistent responsibility to ethics and values. Married, with a child, and in a relationship where he's realizing, I've tried everything possible to make this work, but it's just clear we're not very compatible anymore. It's just, we're not compatible. And if you're Indian, there's no such thing as separation. Till death do us part is the motto, right? And things are changing in the culture, in our culture and in our time period. So he's enjoying a challenging time because traditionally you don't do this. But spiritually and emotionally, he's thinking about the well-being of his daughter, the well-being of his wife's mentality. His well-being is last, so he has to make sacrifices and commitment, all right? So karmically, he's putting the best that he can in a very challenging situation. And what I'd like for you to share with all of us, and maybe us together, is what are some of the stages that you've been through to get you to this point of leaning into the change, which is so hard to do, and where have you found your strength so far?
First of all, thanks for our big sister. Actually, it's her idea of getting all 5 of us over here and do this workshop. It's quite a challenging situation. I have been thinking about it. As the sister mentioned, I have been in this spiritual path for quite a long time, and the only thing that kept me moving along is basically my love for God. Basically, I just want to discuss about the relationships and what exactly I have undergone in the relationship. What are the challenges that I have been facing through? Any relationship is usually with you need to have love, trust, and you need to have accommodation and tolerance if we have those kind of things, and love, when I mean love, we do actually enter into the relationship because of the love, but the difference of the love that I have learned in my spiritual journey is the love that is unconditional, which is not seeing any defects in the other person. So that is something. It was not probably I had to work on it initially for myself on that, but it has given a lot of benefits after having realized it's only possible through the what I would say is the consistent, the soul conscious. We have the knowledge over here, the spiritual knowledge, how we have applied in our life. Basically, we know we have. There are lots of apps that I see, the spiritual codes that I see. What is the difference that actually, every one of us do have the knowledge of what exactly is the wisdom. You go to the spiritual codes and you get the codes. What exactly makes the difference is actually implementing when you have the circumstance or when you have the situation in front of you. So that's where I have. I'm still a learner, but I had the opportunity. I took the challenge as an opportunity for me to actually to harness my spiritual capabilities or the skills. So that's where I have applied most of the time. The relations when the other person, it all depends on, we kind of look at the other person. We try to make the conditions when we want to make love as work out on that relationship. So we try to it's not easy to not see the defects from the other person's perspective or in the other person that you are dealing with, but there are many ways that we can actually which is I was this morning I had I'm not just going to talk about the love, but I had various challenges throughout the relationships. What happened is what I kept is keep on working on actually persistently working on unconditional love, the respect, the even the self-respect for ourselves. Sometimes we lose. Actually, we give up. Basically, if we don't have the strength that is provided from the love of God and the spiritual knowledge that we have, actually, that is where it made the difference. I kept on persisting. We had situations where we are in the process of separation now. There is every possibility, there is 100% possibility that we would have gone to the court and have litigation and keep on working on that. But I have made several attempts in that, and basically I was able to get an agreement out of the court, which was which is really huge, not only from the perspective of, even though I had to give up some of the things that I had, but it is for, it's, I have a baby, I have a lot of love and attachment. Probably I'm working still on the attachment part of, on my daughter, but I gave up pretty much everything almost. Making it possible that it is not a lot of wear and tear to my daughter or even for that my wife.
Krishna, I'm just struck by something you said that I think is something so deep, and it's that you would say what really has helped you in your relationship is helped the relationship transform is just being able to maintain unconditional love and to see that, see others with beyond the defects. But you talked about what gave you the power to do that, and you said that it's love for God. And so where does that love come from then? I think this is because I think a lot of us recognize the power of unconditional love.
Right.
And the power of bringing that into our lives, but we struggle with doing that. We still see the defects of each other.
It's
We
easy
see
to
the
talk about.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's very easy to talk about.
But where does that power come from? And I think is the love for God something that's innate in us, or is it something that we have to nurture, or we have to, do we have to nurture that? And how do we do that?
That's a very good question. In fact, I'm still working on it, but what I found really helpful is love for God is having love for God gives the respect, and as well as for the spiritual knowledge that we get. One is this is all a play. We are playing different roles in this play, and we have karmic accounts. We may not be able to, we immediately try to judge the people with the way that they behave to us right at this point of time, but it is possible that I might have done something in the past or in the past life, or where that kind of karma is coming to me right now.
Well,
I'm
let's
on the
go into
receiving
that.
end.
Let's go into
Yeah.
that, because when we talk about karma, we always say it's my karma. And so we think that, is it something that I have done in the past? But the reality is, here I am today, and if I look back at my record, I think I was okay. So why is this happening to me now? I don't think I deserve to be treated like this. And I'd like to go to Julio, who has got a lot of relationships, from from a grandmother to a mother to a sister to a little nephew, 4 generations. That's a lot of different levels of karmas that he's dealing with in one house. And now he's going to be sharing, because where does your role of love, or your love for God to find the strength, as David was saying, comes from, even though there's so many karmic distractions?
Thank you, sister, for this, and I'm Shanti, everybody. I'd like to add to a little bit about me on the identity. I'm originally from Venezuela, South America, and the beautiful thing about this workshop is that our different nationalities, it doesn't matter where we come from, doesn't matter how we were raised, but we are all in the same path, all of us. When Sister Jenna asked us to do the workshop about the heroes, I said, okay, what is a hero? And so I went beyond, and in the last 2 weeks I've been thinking about what to say or not to say. I'm not thinking about anything. I'm just flowing, like I said, and to say and to express and to share my experiences. Now, to answer the questions of Sister Jenna's, having come from that culture, I'd like to say a little bit about my personality. My personality is I'm a rebel. I always go against the current. And now, what current? So in growing up, since I was 4 or 5, I always felt this. So I'm a person that goes by feelings a lot. So it's very, like I said, very personal. So I go by feelings, and in that rebel personality, rebel type of behavior, that's how my life has been, always against the currents and in writing. And so I've been, I work in law for a while. I have a home daycare. I migrated to the United States. So all those obstacles, all those challenges somehow woke me up to the spirituality. So I'm the third of 6 children. I'm the third of 6. So my father passed away, and I took care of the family. So I have 4 generations, like Sister Jenna is saying. I have a 95-year-old lady from the 1920s living with me. I have a mom born in 1940s, so it's in the middle. Then the new generation, the third, which is all of us, and then my nephew. And it's kind of interesting just to observe in my household how everybody's behave and how their beliefs are and all that. So I have history, I have past, I have present, I have everything in my home. And then the challenges is just to, as I migrated, and this is very personal, like I said, is how I could be of help and truly be helpful to my siblings. It was number-wise because for those that migrated, the green card process is just a process, like everything else in life. So it was number-wise, and everybody started to start a life here in America as they came. So in that process, I always envisioned what was needed at home. From a shelter, from buying a shelter, I don't say buying a dwelling, but a shelter. So always, my duality in my mind was, what can I do here that is truly helpful for others? It was always taking action, not thinking sometimes twice or so. Sometimes I didn't have the resources to do it. My country is going through a revolution, as we call it. Some of the media call it revolution. I call it change. And then I somehow, from my micro thinking, I started to see outside on how everything was doing, how everything is happening. And I have come to this conclusion, and probably to answer how I came to God and to spirituality. Rebel, for me, is revolution. Revolution has a bad connotation of, something like a conflict or anything like that. Revolution, in my mind, is putting something that is organized. And then I thought to myself, what is disorganized? Disorganized was my thinking, was this duality of what I am now, Julio from Venezuela, all my identity versus what it is that I really want to do for others. How can I share my knowledge, whatever my purpose in life might be, to others? And my family was the first one in front, and then I dedicated my life also. I have home daycare, like I said. I have raised, through the help of my folks, 75 children since the year 2003. I've been doing writings in politics and in some legal arena. So all that is part of my play. It's all part of my acting. So God for me was something beyond the form. It was something like unexplainable that made me move forward and take action. It was a matter of, okay, should I do or should I not? No, just do it. So organize it out inside. It was my revolution. It's not the revolution outside. It's my revolution. Organizing my ideas so I can express it, so I can write it, so I can act. So that it has been. Of course, I have a lot of I'm learning unconditional love. Just no condition. Just do it because you want to be just truly helpful. And I would like to share one story, and very briefly, well, actually 2 stories, just to emphasize what I like to share is, one is when I was a little kid, 6, and Sister Jenna knows this story, and some of the brothers, I had this eagerness, willingness to eat ice cream. I wanted to eat ice cream. And I was 6, but I didn't have money. So I went to my siblings, I went to my mom, can I have a Bolivar? That's my currency back home, Bolivar. And I said, oh no, I don't have money, son, I'm sorry. Okay. Then I went to my father, no, I don't have money. Then my grandparents, no, I don't have money. So I went to my neighbor. I knocked on the door, do you have a Bolivar that I can borrow? I want ice cream. So in the meantime, when I was asking ice cream for everybody, I had the ice cream man, those little machines outside, they ring the bell? And he was there. I just stopped him and I said, you know what, let me get the money first and then, but you wait there. So in that community, there were a lot of children. So I said, just wait there. And then suddenly, nobody had money, but then suddenly I had this client of my father who was coming to my home and I said, Mr. Guerrero, can I borrow, 6 years, can I borrow some money because I would like to, buy ice cream. In the meantime, I asked my brothers and sisters, I said, can you ask him so we can save time? You ask my grandmother, you ask my grandfather, you ask my father, but nobody wanted to do anything. I said, but why? Okay, in my mind, I just, as a little kid, I cannot think. But what was my rationale? I don't know, I remember. But I wanted to delegate so things could be done faster. So anyway, but nobody, no. That's okay. So nothing happened. So anyway, so at the end, I got my bolivars, and then with that money, I got like 10 ice creams. A lot. So I was like this little boy. Just imagine a 6-year-old with all these ice creams. So I put them in the refrigerator, right? So I said, okay, I'm going to eat one Monday, one Tuesday, one Wednesday, so I'm going to have the whole week. Then, of course, there was a line of brothers and sisters behind me. And I said, aren't you going to share? No. You didn't ask. But then, of course, my folks came, my parents, and I said, you need to share. If you don't share, it's not good. I found joy on that. So I've been in my family the ice cream finder. in a way. So that's how it has been. And then the second is, this is about sharing. And the second experience that I would love to share is when we did the meditation museum. For me, it was very nice to see everybody bringing their own strength beyond any responsibility, personal responsibility, and putting all these things together for like today to enjoy this and exchange this energy between you and all of us. So I think that was fascinating, and that was cooperation. So how do we do that? Just by getting together, finding an inner strength that is bigger than us, is bigger than outside, is God, as this energy within that we connect. And I found this through the meditation and by meditating Praya Yoga. So I
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Thanks for that, Julio. Wonderful story. Now I feel like having ice cream. And I think, what we are here today is to look at how we can understand karma to keep moving forward in life. Because when we feel stuck, we find that we have those same thoughts over and over again, or we find ourselves in a same situation which we've been dying to get out of, or we catch ourselves attracting people that we're trying to run away from. I don't know if you've ever been there. So when we look at karma, let's just say, as we're sitting here together, when you understand karma, what is that? And what basic tool have you used to try to unblock yourselves from being stuck in a particular situation? And maybe Santosh, Khelan, David?
I think Khelan has a very story to tell.
There are too many stories. And so I was just not sure where to start. To me, from the time I came to learn meditation just because of curiosity, because I heard so much about meditation in the media, but I never knew what it is about, how to do it. I just heard it's good. But so that's curiosity. Back in India, I come from India, and one of my close friends told me about this organization. I came in touch in India, and the first thing I noticed when I stepped into the meditation center was the place was almost empty, like not much furniture, not much anything. It's just empty. But in India, but it was empty, and I felt that it was very clean and empty, and I felt that this feels like, I don't know. No one said anything. I just felt that this feels out of the world. It's like it's in the world, but it felt like it's out of this world. And then from then on, I never left, and I always kept coming. Even to make it a little funny, can I share that? Little funny thing is I had to take the meditation course, which is basically here we give for 6 sessions, and in India it's 7 sessions, an extra session. Basically it's the same, but I will go every day to the branch for the course, and because I come from very science background, so I had a lot of questions every time I take the course. Every time I had the session, I will have, I don't know how many questions, but it's not because of trying to prove something, because I thought when I say heart, it's here, but the sister will say, no, the consciousness is here. And something like that, oh, okay. So it took me a month and a half to finish the course instead of 7 days, because they were so busy. And I will be like asking questions. And so say, oh, may not be today, it's a little, can you come tomorrow also? I'll say, okay, no problem. And so I'll be doing something but I used to enjoy going every day. And so that's how I started. And to me, always been in my journey was um, to try to keep out of the whatever the other side, which is the dark side, even though it's there, to try to avoid it. And luckily enough, I always had people around me who always encouraged me to the lighter side. So that way I was very fortunate. I'm still fortunate. And um, when I turn back and see, I see that I'm glad I didn't have to go through this, other stuff where you see it, but where you have to deal with a lot of, and I have a lot of appreciation for that, where I try to keep it now. And it's not saying that the whole ride was a jolly ride, but it's still, there are definitely a lot of challenges, but I think to keeping the mind clean with uh, without having a lot of questions of why this person, why this situation. That helped me.
That's wonderful. So you've got good karmas, because just about everywhere Santosh goes, he wins the hearts of everyone, just with his smile. Look, see? And so, what is karma, Khelan? What is karma, and how do you move past, if you happen to have gone to the dark side, as Santosh was saying? And dark side for me is I get angry. I'm jealous. I'm critical. I was judgmental on somebody when I should have been more accepting or understanding. So, what is karma, and how do you move past some karmas if you've gone to the dark side? And David can answer too afterwards.
Om Shanti. Karma is one of my most fascinating topics on this journey because it's very practical and there's really no hiding from mind, body, wealth, relationships, or money on a day-to-day basis. Either they're giving me happiness or they're giving me sorrow, and it's very real. I can feel it. So when I first came to the Meditation Museum, my first workshop was one that Brother David was doing on Don't Get Mad, Get Wise. And I had an experience in that workshop. And I came back into the course, as some of you may have done as well, and Sister Geeta and Sister Jenna did the course for me, and it was a wonderful experience of, certainly of God, as well as of this world of drama and karma that we live in. And what I am beginning to see for myself is that even though I may choose to blame whoever comes in my way for whatever sorrow I'm experiencing, and I had a long history of doing this, everything from the government, I grew up in India, so very easy to do, to God, to my wife, to my boss, that pattern of blaming hasn't really served me because it's essentially not allowed me to take responsibility for my own thoughts, words, and deeds into my own hands. So the first thing I received on this path is the third eye of knowledge, or just an intellect that could see beyond the two eyes. And I feel that a lot of my karma, as Sister Jenna said, on the dark side, is because I've only used the two eyes because I didn't have knowledge, and so I made choices based on what the two eyes were seeing, and all those choices were short-lived, and they were based in matter, in the five elements, and they were choices that essentially created sorrow for me. And now I'm dealing with that past karma that I created for myself, but now I do have the third eye, and I'm working on making choices that are truly based on truth and not illusion. But I do get challenged on a day-to-day basis, whether it's at work or at home or here. And I feel that it's that knowledge, which is very, very important to understand in order to take the first step on shifting my karmas. And I think I've taken that first step. And so Krishna Bhai mentioned God, and I think the true introduction to God that I received as a guide to show me the path to peace and happiness gave me the second step, and then the next 1,000 steps, because every time I take one step, Baba takes 1,000 to help me. And so the energy to continue to move forward despite the challenges that come from finances, from relationships, that energy for me comes from this relationship as of a father and a child, or any one of other relationships that we can experience. And so that is slowly changing my karmas, not as fast as I would like, but slowly, one day at a time, and helping me to perform more elevated karmas that are more, as Julio Bhai said, more rooted in charity, more rooted in giving back, but also trying to make sure that everyone that I come in contact with is contented, like Santosh Bhai does, whether it's at home or at work. And it's a real challenge, because in the past, my orientation was, what can someone do for me, as opposed to what can I do for this person? So it's a different world.
I want to ask everybody here a question that relates to this. So, why do you think, just off the top of your head, why did you come to a workshop on karma to begin with? Why is karma important to you? Why is an understanding of karma important? Anybody? Yeah. Why?
Perhaps because it seems like to everyone in this room, myself included, that we're all aware of these patterns in our lives,
Huh?
cycles that repeat themselves, that we keep finding ourselves going through. And I think I can safely say for everyone that having recognized that, you want to do something about it.
If I can paraphrase what you're saying, is that if we understand karma, we can really understand the patterns in our lives, and we can make choices to maybe transform those patterns, to maybe live a happier, more peaceful, more loving life, or at least to just change.
Well, it's like, I think it's what Ram Dass said, if I may. I feel like on some level, because a gentleman here asked me a question about, when we first came in jokingly, do you want this the answer?
Mm-hmm.
And I always notice that sometimes people joke, oh, what's the answer, what's the code? And I remember something that Ram Dass said, who was a gentleman from the West who kind of melded with the Eastern philosophy, and it's something that's driven me, because my parents always told me, you got to find God. They totally orphaned me.
Yeah.
And he said something once, he said, before enlightenment, chopping wood and carrying water. After enlightenment, chopping wood and carrying water.
Wow.
And something that you said that struck me, which is where I feel I'm at, which is before there was the idea of, what can you do for me? And then there's the idea of what can I do for you? And I've been in that service path for a while. And now I'm really curious as to what can we do together?
Yeah.
That to me, it's like what you said. It's like keeping your family, keeping all these things close. And I work with, one little thing, I work with intubated youth, babies. And to me, the miracle of existence is that what keeps them alive is touch.
Yeah.
These children are on tubes, and if you put food in them, they won't take it, and they'll die. But if you hold them while they're taking the food, they'll live. And so to me, that touch, that contact, that's the looking in the eye, the hug. I guess that's the karma. How do I do that better?
So I think this is why it's so good for us to maybe convey what's the interpretation of karma. What is the interpretation of karma, David? The easiest, simplistic way of explaining that.
And could you add in that, David, the difference between that and dharma?
Light and dark.
No, dharma and karma.
Dharma.
I don't know that I know.
I'll take care of the dharma part, don't worry.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll get the mic to him. Okay.
Okay. Good. Yeah. Yeah. Recap what Khelan said.
No, Brother was just saying that he's now looking at how we can do something together, one. Second, something that has held him from a very great guru in America, Ram Dass, who's a close friend of ours now, is before enlightenment, carry wood and cut wood and chop wood and carry water. As you can see in this birth, I haven't chopped wood. And after enlightenment, chop wood and carry water. So, it goes back to, we might think enlightenment is this final destination, but it's this process. You're just going to keep living. That was some of the things I picked up.
I think another question for me has to do with just understanding karma from the perspective of how much working through does one need to do when you may be in a situation that is to your detriment, and you're betwixt trying to figure out, am I just supposed to stay in this?
How long do I have to deal with a particular karmic situation?
When it's detrimental.
Yeah, when especially it's detrimental. So these are some of the things the five brothers will answer today. But now, so towards this point, what is karma, brothers? Tell us, when you look at karma in a very simplistic language, what is karma?
Well, karma simply means action, and so that. But I think we all really know what karma means: is you reap what you sow, and so for every word, every action, and really I think that even our thoughts have karmic consequences. That you will reap the return of that, and it's important to understand that because it helps us to understand and accept what's happening in our life right now. Acceptance to me is like, where is Stan? Because Stan always talks about acceptance. Acceptance to me is like the first act of love, is to accept what is happening right now, to not deny it or act like it's not happening, but to accept what's happening. And I think an understanding of karma really allows us to accept. You say, why is this happening to me? If you understand karma, you can begin to understand that. But where are we going with all that ultimately? Ultimately, if we're looking to transform our lives, how many of you would like to change your life? Yeah? Okay. All right. Not everybody raised their hand, which I think is interesting. Okay. How many, let's put it another way, how many would like to grow in their life? Yeah, let's put it that way.
It's languaging, isn't it?
Yeah. So, and I think to grow in our lives, that an understanding of karma can help us to do that. Because an understanding of karma can help us to not react to situations that come our way from the baggage that we've collected on our journey. We all have experiences, and those experiences make impressions on our life. And, maybe you might accept that those experiences perhaps maybe even extend beyond this lifetime. Perhaps you have experiences that are carried with you in the soul from many births. And if that resonates with you, please use that. If it doesn't, then you can leave that aside. But we have those impressions, and situations come, and it triggers a feeling that comes from that impression. But if we understand karma, it helps us to claim the power to not react to those feelings and respond to them from a different part of ourselves, an original part of ourselves, an eternal part of ourselves that is full of all these beautiful qualities. It's full of love, peace, joy, wisdom, an innocence that's natural within each of us. And it comes back really to what Brother Krishna was talking about, to unconditional love. That we grow to the extent that we're able to respond to everything that happens to us in our lives with that love, with that peace, with that joy. But it can be really challenging because those those impressions that we collect, and then we have a word in the Raj Yoga course, we call them sanskars. Those impressions that we collect on our journey influence us. So the first step for me is to begin just paying attention to them. Paying attention to how we're feeling and observing that in any given situation. And then accept how we're feeling. I don't think any feeling that we don't have any feeling that's not accurate. Every feeling we have is accurate because it comes from our experience, doesn't it? You can't say that feeling shouldn't be there. Well, it is there because it's come from your experience. Now, maybe that feeling isn't a powerful feeling, it isn't going to take you forward. But we can make a choice how we respond to that feeling. It can still be there, and we can respond to it in our thoughts with thoughts that are based in love. Or we can respond to it that are thoughts that are based in those negative qualities. And when we do that, we're really just nurturing that. We're nurturing that negative feeling. So we have that choice. But the first step is paying attention to it. And then I think we have to protect ourselves as well. And we protect ourselves by doing things that, making choices that don't nurture the negative. And so paying attention to maybe the movies we watch, paying attention to what relationships I choose, paying attention to the food I eat, paying attention to what else? What else? Our thoughts, most important
Thoughts
of
more
all.
than anything else, right?
Yeah.
And intoxicants, yeah, yes, things that are not good to put in your system.
And then one last thing, I think, is what we do to nurture the positive within us. What do we do to nurture those beautiful qualities within us? And those are some choices we can make. You're all here in the Meditation Museum. To me, the real value of meditation is it trains us to observe ourselves, but it also is a tool to nurture that positive place within ourselves. It's a tool to nurture our connection to love, nurture our connection to happiness, nurture our connection to peace. Yeah.
Thank you for that, David. And I think that to answer the question as well, when it's just way too much, when do you move out of that karmic web that you're in, when you're feeling that it is too much, it is detrimental? You know, that how much do I keep taking on? And in a very simplistic term, and I think all the brothers have already answered it, your karmas are your actions that you've performed. In addition to that is the quality of intentions behind those actions determine the result of that. You know, so there is, and I'm saying this with all respect, in Indian family, when you are married, you marry a whole family. So it's not like you and your husband going off and living together, but you, your husband, and your husband's mother, father, auntie, sister, uncle, and brother are moving in the next day. So just that you're aware of that, right? So it's cultural, and it's just the norm. So there's a story about a woman who was living at home, and she thought she did everything right to please her mother-in-law. She cooked, she smiled, she took care of her son, she was respectful and honorable, but the mother-in-law, she felt, hated her. What she didn't calculate in the karmic story was that she was having negative thoughts about the mother-in-law, even though she was doing everything right, physically in front. So when we look at karma, the complications of karma are hidden in between those thoughts, the background thoughts that you are the only holder of when you're performing that action. And so let's say if I go to Khelan and the brothers and Santosh to talk about, there are certain qualities that we all have. David mentioned them. Truth, joy, purity, peace, love. These are fundamental qualities in our stories. The question is, do we use them when they really are needed? Let's say, for example, Brother Santosh, we all love his purity. And in what way do you bring the good karma of your purity into some of the things that you do? Because if karma is an action, the real mystery behind karma is what are you thinking as you're about to perform that action? So, Santosh, any thoughts about that?
I was just thinking about purity. I was sharing with Sister Jenna this morning. There's so much to share on purity, and it's like we just had. I feel that purity, which is like you see in a baby, the innocence, the pure. You see, and I always thought it fascinated me when I thought I love to go into, airports, and you see so many children come into the airports, and one day I questioned that I never thought if this baby is from this country or this country, and also I never thought if I should smile at a baby or not. Because you see someone, you want to smile, you will have second thought. Maybe I should not, right? So I had this thought that I never questioned that with a baby. And I never thought if this baby is from this country or this country or this country. I just smiled and I felt that the innocence and the purity is in the baby, but it's in me too. And the baby is just the trigger to trigger that innocence within me, and I feel good. And
I have to say, I can't let that go without saying this, is that one of the things about Santosh is that he has that vision and that he sees everyone that way. And he sees everybody from this, looks at everybody the same way we all look at a baby. He looks at them without that judgment, not looking at their weaknesses. And it's one of the really beautiful things about you, Santosh, and something we can all learn from. And because of that, Sister Jenna, she just said, everybody loves Santosh. Santosh it harmonizes with everyone because he sees beyond defects. He sees each of us like the same way we would look at the innocence of a baby.
And how
That's
easy.
beautiful. I could not say that.
No, I agree. We agree that. How easy that for all of you. I think Mel has a question in the audience. Could you turn up my mic just a little bit? Right. So the question made for those listening and watching on live stream is, it's not you attract what you want, but you attract who you are. And that can be very revealing. So there are two levels of energies working in all of us. The surface energy, which is where a lot of our ego and analytical thinking resides. So like I can try to convince myself, I'm okay, but I'm falling. You're not okay, you're falling. Do you need some help, right? And then there's the subconscious realm of energy, which is the sum total of every hidden feeling that you're walking with, and that's the energy at work. So whenever you practice meditation and yoga, you're not worrying about your surface energy. Your surface energy is what you're hearing when you're sitting in the meditation course. But when you apply meditation, you go to the subconscious realm of your energy, because that's what's really creating the story where your feelings are being affected. Example, brothers were sharing, I know what's the right thing to do or say in a situation or circumstance, but I still scream anyway. So your analytical surface self knows the right thing to do, but your subconscious realm of consciousness is where your power is, what Brother David was called your sanskaras. So in yoga, you want to clean out the sanskara. That's where you want the purity to come back, so your joy can come back. And I liked how all of you were sharing a lot about your relationship to the divine or to the supreme, because we all spoke about unconditional love on the stage, and we are all sitting here knowing we struggle to apply that in our lives, right? And so I think when we go to our connection in relationship to God, we get to taste and feel what unconditional love is, so we can bring it more to this global level of exchange and relationship. So I hope that answered. I interviewed Karina Virginia the other day on the radio show, and she was a top model and actress in New York, and she said something was calling me on my inside, and she was saying that was it. I was a runway model. I was on the front cover of Vogue and Cosmopolitan, but in the midst of my career where I was successful, I didn't want it anymore. There was something more I needed. She got a one-studio apartment, lived in a flat somewhere in upstate New York, and she was working on herself. She said, the most incredible husband has come to me. Yep, there we go. The best husband possible, which was the greatest catch, she said, in New York City. And she said what this meant to her wasn't that she was out looking for anyone, but she was busy fixing herself. And so what she brought into her life was what she deserved. Okay? So it's not to get complicated by, but I have been doing these things, but to pay attention to what Brother David was sharing. What are your thoughts behind what you're doing? That's where the authenticity and the honesty comes from. Brothers, share with me really about, when you look at the whole energy of honesty in your karmic dealings, let's say when it comes on into way that you earn money, when you approach your finances, when you approach getting up in the morning or heading out to work or staying at home and trying to find how you're going to put the tools together to pay the mortgage, what is your consciousness on a regular basis? Because that's going to determine how that money finds you or how that money leaves you. Any answers to that question?
I have a big mortgage to pay, so it's certainly on my mind. Sure. So when I first came to Raj Yoga, one of the reasons that I had calm was because of a lot of negative thoughts, waste thoughts around money, given my work in the financial services industry and the financial crisis. And I found myself just wanting to get back to peace and happiness. And I'm learning that it's a journey that I'm walking on, as opposed to a switch that I can flip and keep on as long as I want. So when I wake up in the morning and I go to work, my thoughts have gone from I'm doing this to make a lot of money and then buy a few things that I really, really want in life and then give the rest away, to saying to myself that I'm really earning an income for the needs of the body, the needs of the family, the house, pay for food and education. And it's an expensive way to live in America. I grew up in India, so it takes a lot just to keep going at a basic level in Washington, D.C., and I can see that for myself. But then all the surplus should go back to the world through, in my case, through the Meditation Museum or the Brahma Kumaris, because I view the work being done here across the world as being very special in really teaching us how to change our consciousness. And there may be many, many good causes in the world, but I feel that this is the cause that helps souls in such an unlimited way. And having experienced that myself, and so, but my consciousness does go from worry on the one end, which is, will I be able to make it, to saying this is an unlimited task, I'm just an instrument. And when I can stay in that zone, everything is flowing, it's easy, it's natural. When I go to the other side, then everything suddenly grinds to a halt and everything seems so much harder. So maybe it's just a figment of my imagination, but that's sort of how it seems to flow for me.
No, I think it's real, and I think money is a very huge conversation because we need it, we think we need it to pay bills. And how many of you recall before money came into power, there was a bartering system? So if you had oranges and I needed apples, then we would have an exchange, right? But when you started to grow a lot of oranges or apples and they were getting wasted and you were trying to find a way to market and sell, and it started to get to a point, well, I have more, so then you're going to have to start to do something to get me back something more. So the energy of money is so rooted in identification, but also in a lack of inner contentment. So when you're not joyful because of the good way you're thinking and being, then you're going to constantly want something outside of you to make you feel like you have enough or you're valid. So that's where sometimes we deceive ourselves in the way we spend even the money or even the way we choose to earn it. You know? So I was working on a project a few years ago and they wanted to do a fundraiser. I was almost about to get not Om Shanti, okay? And they're creating a fundraiser for a very noble cause, and they're buying bottles of wine, which I don't drink alcohol, for $300. So I'm going, how could you be doing a fundraiser and you're catering to a huge event with 300 bottles of wine and a $100,000 dinner? Then just put that into the company. And of course, they were like, Sister Jenna, it doesn't work like that. I go, but it does work like that. If you have the money, then let's just move that. So their interpretation of that to me is, well, this is how you network at a higher level. To make you clear, that company never kicked off because the intentions aren't right. It's mixed. And so if there isn't knowledge that we are souls that are pure at the core and joyful at nature, then the choices that we make do deceive us, and we don't really know why we're ending up in the situations that we are ending up in, right? So the point that, Khelan was saying, that we blame people, but the question is, it's about you. What is your responsibility to yourself?
It's just so succinctly what you're saying is that to improve our karmic relationship with money, we need to pay attention to our intentions and how we spend it and how we use the money that we have. Just real simple like that. Yeah. I think the greatest relationship to have money is with money is not to have to think about it, right? Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, but it's not true. It's not real.
What?
It's not. We have to think about it because money is a form of energy. It's not the thing. It's an energy. It represents the way you've been using your energy. That's what money represents. It's the way you're using energy. So if I have a mortgage of $100 and I'm only earning $50, then I have to find energy to do more to get back something, right? So if I put myself in a lot of unnecessary debts and I'm not bringing the energy to take care of those debts, I'm going to start to blame a culture, a system, my divorce, my this, my that. But at the end of the day, your karmic energy is saying, well, you're going to have to step up. Julio.
Thank you. Story. I like stories. I was working as a real estate agent. Any real estate realtors here? My apologies in advance for something. Okay, so I'm going to share something here, so don't say anything. I was working, and it was almost 10 o'clock at night, and it was during the short sale period. All the houses were underwater and all that. So I had experience as a loan agent, and then I got my license as a realtor. Not anymore. I let it expire. So my experience was very, I learned a lot. But there was this couple that came at 10 o'clock approximately. And I said, Julio, I need your help. Yeah, what can I do for you? Let's fill out the applications and all that so we can put the house on sale. So these clients already spoke to my boss, so I had to respect that. And I said, oh my goodness. So I had an ethical issue. I didn't, going back to what I said at the beginning, I feel things. So I said, this is not a good feeling. I don't like it. It was all mine. And I said, okay, we can do the short sale for you. That's what your boss said. And I said, okay, the commission will be this and this. And I said, I have 4 kids, but we're going to lose the house. Yeah, you might. It's underwater, but you know what? Come tomorrow. So the boss was not there. So then I had the opportunity to meet with the clients, and they were crying, all the sorrow and all that, all their karmas or whatever. And I said, I don't want this karma. I have enough. So I need to do something here. And then I said, you know what? You can save your home. Let me teach you how to do it. So you go online, you fill the application, do everything. Oh, really? Yes, you can do it. Because if you do it here, you might lose it. Somebody else is going to win. So I was in the middle. I had that thing, going back to conscience and consciousness. What should I do in this position? Should I make my commission? Should I help these people? So at that point, I said, I don't want this money. I felt like it was not the right money because the intention behind was not there. The intention was to help the people not to lose their homes. So if that meant not to have money, it's okay. So sometimes we are in these positions that we don't know what to do. Anyway, so they filled out the application and all that. They saved their home. 3 kids, imagine, 5 karmas, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the couple. I said, I don't want this. So I said, yeah, I don't want this. And I said, but you know what was nice? They came 2 months afterwards. Can we talk to Mr. Mendoza? And they went to, and I said, yeah, okay. Can we buy you for lunch? Oh, no, I'm busy. We just want to thank you. We saved our home. So we save our home, otherwise we would have lost the home. So, and then going back to what you were saying, sometimes we have all what's the intention behind? What is the power that we're using? We're using the power of consciousness, or we're using the force of the ego? So how are we going to do it here? And then sometimes we have so many veils in front of us. We call it programming, we call it sanskaras, we call it that in the process of our life, what we need to do is just undo them. And sometimes I get stuck because I say, what karma is this about? And my only explanation, thanks to meditation, is, okay, this is a past experience. This is something that I did before, now I'm paying. So it's the only reasonable explanation. So I move forward. So unveiling and removing all these veils and coming up with a different intention and to learn that experience, that for me is the way I lean into it. And I'm learning because it's a process.
So in essence, Julio, that was beautiful. In essence, our world of karmas is that we will be paying off debts from the past, but it is imperative that we are more focused on creating fortune for the future. Okay? Question from now. Time we could throw out questions in the audience.
Yeah, I sort of want to go back to this gentleman's perspective. I mean, he was talking about, okay, 5 karmas. Caste system in the United States has its collective karma, and we work in these organizations that have their collective karma, which
Right.
sometimes can be too much for us.
Right.
And so it's not just, oh, I had this thought, I responded to that, I should be loving, but there's a whole big collective karma which is beyond you.
This is a great question, and brothers, I'll definitely have you answer that, because collectively we are being influenced, but on an individual level, I always have the power to choose what I will stand for as a person.
And so,
We'll continue.
what I would share there, and this is, I think that, I'm glad you asked that question, because I think it relates to something I've been thinking about personally a lot lately. How many of you have values and principles that you hold on to? Yeah, that you think these are important. We may value honesty. We may value being respectful. We may value any number of things that we say are honorable, right? And I think we all have that. But the deep realization that I have for me, this is for me, is how are those values affecting the flow of love? How are they affecting my ability to be loving? And if I'm using those, if I let those values become an obstacle for me to be loving, and what does that mean? Well, in not being loving is judging someone else, or seeing the weaknesses in someone else. That's not being loving. And it was a deep realization for me, because I have things that I hold really strongly, and I say these are important. But I watched how those values are an obstacle for me in being loving. It doesn't mean that I have to support what someone else is doing. But if I'm letting that change my vision towards them, then those values lose their value. Yeah.
It's sort of like if you have a principle and that principle is making you uncomfortable with yourself, then the principle needs to be balanced with a virtue. And so these are some important tools to understand in the philosophy of karma too. Example, I believe in honesty, but someone chose not to be honest with me because they loved me so much that if they told me the truth, I'd be hurt. It becomes very complex, but I wonder if my way of being honest with you in a right place within myself would be more soothing. Is it that I need to just hit you at the right time? I need to be in the right moment with you to make it happen. There are many complexities towards this conversation. However, the basics of karma is to consider yourself pure at the core, and to try to think and speak from that place until it eventually becomes natural in your system. And then you don't worry about your settling, because even if your settling of karmic debts of your past are in front of your door, you're still caught up when you meet it that how now can I create a future here?
Wow. Wow.
Because this is what this has come for me to do. And your question?
Well, it was just kind of relating to what he was saying, which was that my mother's from the South, so she was very big on chivalry and stuff. And so I was always taught to be polite and things. And I remember when I was in my early 20s, I had gotten to a point where I would do things like hold the door open for people. But then I also realized if I didn't get a thank you from them, I might make a little comment like, "You're welcome," or something like that. And then one day I was like, well, wait a minute, why am I holding the door open for these people? Am I doing it so that they'll thank me, or am I just doing it to be kind? And now I just hold the door open. I don't care what you do. I don't care what you say. I don't even wait for a response. I just hold it open. And I was going to say to what you were saying, that Alice Walker one time talked about what of all the virtues, what's the most important one? And she said it was courage. Because without courage, you can't enact any of the other ones. And when you were talking about karma, someone once said they likened it to every lifetime you're a bird flying over a mountain. And one feather of your mountain disturbs like a couple grains of sand on the mountain. And we have been going through reincarnation so many times that we've ground those mountains down to dust. And now we're at the point where we're all soulmates. We've all been dealing with each other for eons and decades. And it comes down to, what do you see in that moment? Like, do you trust yourself to know that, hey, when I'm working with these people, I need to make sure you get your house and not my commission? And then it goes to like a deeper question, which is, what is the opposite of love? I don't think the Western culture is really ready to answer that. I think in the West, we think the opposite of love is hate. But I don't think it is. I think it's indifference. I think indifference is really the opposite of love, because hate's a form of love. If you really hate something, like I hate being mean, I'll work really hard on that in myself, because I love myself and I want to be a nicer person. But to be indifferent to someone's suffering, to be indifferent to someone signaling to move over in the lane, to speed up, those things seem tiny, but those are what I think are where we can judge our actions on right and wrong. And what do we do in those situations?
Thank you for that. Brothers, we're going to be running out of time, but tell me, what are some of your thoughts, and are there any real deep questions and percolating questions that you want to offered now so that, we can try to sneak it in for another 10 minutes or so.
Everybody's good with that? It's 3:10. You're okay? We can continue? You good? We're good? Okay.
Question?
Yes.
My name is Mensa. I just want to make it. Hello? Oh, okay. All right. My name is Mensa, and I just want to make a quick comment here. I read somewhere that what is important in our life is love and fear. Those are the two things that really manage our life, love and fear. And someone I met in India, a guru, told me that whatever we see around us is the reflections of what we have inside. So when the gentleman there was saying that, looking, to attract money, well, if you have a fear within you, that fear will be pushing away from you the money you're looking for until you start working within. And when you have that peace within you, you'll see that you don't have to look for the money. They will come to you. The money will come to you naturally. You don't have to look for it.
That's beautiful.
About the karma, a gentleman by the name Neil Walsh has written a book by the name Communication with God. He said in that book that we know everything before we came in this world. There is nothing new we need to learn in this world. We know everything. But our purpose in this life is to remember. But how you remember? You have to remember through the feelings. And the feelings is through the karma. All the experiences you are going to go through is going to make you feel and remember where you come from. And from that space, you will go back to the original, where you came from. Thank you.
Mesna, thank you. So wonderful spiritual hero brothers. I've given them all 5 titles. Brother Krishna represents the superhero of love. Brother Khelan represents the superhero of peace. Brother Santosh, what do you think? Superhero of purity. And Brother Julio, joy. And Brother David, truth. And I think as we get to closure, can you share in just a few words how you use your superhero power to create your karmic fortune?
I will share what my experience in these last 2 weeks, since we have thought about, I was selling my house. So I went to the place. I mean, we started living. Our house is in Urbana, and we started living probably 4.5 years. Moved away from our own house and started living in Rockville, and all these things happened, and we have put our house on the market. So I went to the community and actually looked at the house, and we spent about 4.5 years in that community and 3.5 years in that house. My daughter was a 2-year-old baby. She has learned everything in that house, basically speaking and everything. So all those feelings, it's, they're there in that house. And so we had a lot of situation and a lot of circumstances as far as the relationships and everything is concerned while we were living in that house as well. Some are very sweet and some are, you have some negative experiences as well. So I had this feeling of, is there anything that could have been done differently then. So I was thinking about it, and I was trying to live those 4 years over there, and it felt like a movie for me. It's just, as a detached observer, as an observer, I was seeing how those 4 years, and now it is 10 years after seeing that house and everything. So all the feelings I was able to synthesize and came to a great realization that as I was talking, I mean, we know we have the knowledge, but it's actually the applying, or, unless we realize it from our own experience, we don't take that knowledge into our. So that is where I had such a great realization over there. There is nothing that could have been. I was involved in the part that I was playing in that particular in that role when I was living those circumstances and situations at that time. I was pretty much involved and have those emotions and feelings and everything. If I had been a detached observer and still playing the part, it still would have been the same. So why did I do actually? I don't have to involve so much into. So this after this realization came, so there is an incident that happened. I had to finish the cleaning and everything to put my house on the market this weekend, and I was rushing to do everything. I had few services over there. I had to spend more than $500 just because I want this thing to happen. In the process, I had a carpet cleaning company, and the power was not there in the house, and they told that they would use the power. So the technician, when he came, he actually took the power from the neighboring house, from the neighboring outside outlet, and they were not there. It's locked, and he hooked from there. I came to know after after the cleaning service is done. They were very good friends of ours when we were living there, and we still have good relationship. So I saw an email from that lady, and she was really upset about that. She sent in both of them were really upset about what has happened, and she started blaming, actually, you should not have scheduled a carpet service when you don't have a power, and he has hooked, as if I already knew that is happening and everything. She used big words of stealing and everything. So I mean, it was, immediate in the previous, few years, if my the realization, connecting to the realization that I had, I stepped back, and I'm not going to react to it. I stepped back as an observer. Okay, this is the part that is going to move off, and so in a very detached way, I sent an email. This is what has happened. We have scheduled a carpet service with a different company. They were upfront that without the power, they are not going to do it. So we called Sears. They told us that they are going to use the power from their van, from the generator from their van. And that's why we scheduled it. So that I sent an email. Yeah. So how actually by this situation I'm trying to explain, unless we detach our being as an observer, we can't be in that situation. Our instinct is to react and think negative and everything. But unless as part of the realization I was talking about, if we are an observer, then I still feel that, okay, probably it's a misunderstanding and I should be clearing. So there is a love that I was still emanating for her. And I went to her and offered the money and she refused, and she took just a couple of dollars for whatever. But she felt really bad that she sent an email like that.
Oh, so again, the love makes you see where you could have been more loveful.
Right.
You see, so situation is unfolding. It's not pleasant. It's not pleasant. And if I'm understanding karma philosophy, I'm going to try to reduce my negative reactions because that only perpetuates the negativity towards me in my life. All right, so we're going to close off because we are running close, and I have gifts. We have gifts for all of you to get before you leave, and so all those that have left, we're really sorry they missed them. But are there any closing remarks from the 5 superheroes of the day? What do you have for us today?
So I just wanted to say, as peace, an angel of peace today, that I'm sure my wife will test this comment when I go home, but when I first came, I felt this experience of peace. It was very deep, and it was very clear. It was an experience of being bodiless, the soul being completely separate from the body, and the experience of the soul world, just things that we talk about in the Raja Yoga Foundation course. And I didn't want to come back into my life of karmas, family, work, etc. And my wife said that I'd mentally checked out, even though I was physically present. Very true. As much as I denied it at the time, said, no, it's nothing at all. This just a phase. But the experience of that peace was very, very strong. And as Sister Jenna and Sister Geeta and other instruments of Baba guided me along the way, I realized that I was meant to work out my karmas, not just continue to experience that peace, because I'm going to recreate my story wherever I go. And this is a special time for me to learn to shift my energy on the inside very deeply to attract situations that are more peaceful, loving, joyful. And it's quite a task, because running away is easy, and I wanted to do that. Go on top of a mountain somewhere and just enjoy the peace, not to worry about money and relationships and all of that, but it's not real as I understand the story of the drama. So at this time, I'm choosing to qualify myself for a better time, which some may call the golden age, some may call heaven, where at the present, if, as Sister Jenna said in class this morning, do you even have one day in your life at the moment where you're easy, natural, sweet, kind? One day. And it really got my attention, so a little more effort is needed.
Two things came in my mind is the whole aspect of karma. I want to learn about it is not about how bad I was, what I did, but it's about, bottom line, I want to be happy now. And for that, what I need to do, but by knowing what happened, it's like very, very shortly, briefly, if say I've got ill, but I don't know what it is about, then I'll have all these questions, negative questions, maybe it is this, maybe it is that, and I'm not sure what it is. But once I come to know this is what this is, then I'm okay. Okay, I could deal with this and like that. So in karma, that's what we are coming to know. This what happened, this what happened. Now, okay, from there, I could fix this, I could fix this. Now, I have seen that, to me, what I have seen is I've seen two things. One is I need to see, whenever I'm seeing, I need to see something which is positive and pure, so it can trigger within me. Like we talked about little children or babies, but I also seen this being who can constantly be triggering that. And so Sister Jenna always used to say, see everyone as a small little baby. Because you see that way just to protect your inner self. Not that they are, if you see, oh, they are adult, they have this sense, they should be doing this. But going that route, I could only feel bad because they're not going to change and you're still feeling that way. But if I take this route of seeing them as small little babies who can even catch your nose or you don't feel bad about it, you still love it. So if I keep that attitude, that helps to protect me. And end of the day, happiness is in my hand. And as sisters, brothers were sharing that it's all my choice. And so I have to create the triggers. We can't wait for the triggers to happen. So inside, I have to keep this attitude that even you see the worst of situation, worst of people, worst of my own self, I was thinking a hero is one who never gives up. And so like has to deal with a lot of negative stuff, but end of the day, if I don't give up, then I'm still okay. And that will keep me going and never lose hope on yourself or others. That helped me. And so this feeling of positive and optimistic and having good wishes to yourself and to others helped me. I'm still working on it. And it's not that I became perfect or sister always used to say that it's not that I'm perfect. It's not that I'm doing everything accurate and everything is okay. It's just that at least my intents are right, but my actions go totally wrong. And that's one of the reasons I'm still here, sticking here. But yeah, so I just wanted to say that how to protect myself so I can be more happy starts with me, and it's my own choice.
Joy. When did I see joy? And I can see right now we are joyful. We're all connected in a way. Truth, love, peace, joy. The brothers and the sister. And when did I see it? I admire very much, my experience is when I see a painter, when I see a writer, and they know what they're doing, their creativity comes through and they do whatever they need to do without any obstacles, whatever comes out. That for me is joy. So what's joy? In my opinion, joy is what we are. We have it, but we have veils in front of it because of happiness. I have a different definition of happiness. Happiness is temporary. I'm happy because I have a car. I'm happy because I have this, I have that. But joy is something given. It's what we are. So when that flows, then everything is possible. We move mountains, like the meditation, like whatever we need to do. And at the beginning of this workshop, I said I was a revolutionary type of individual. Now I understand why. I am protecting my joy. And I don't want these karmas in front of me. So when did I find joy? I love dancing. So sometimes I get with friends and all that, and they ask me, Julio, can you teach me how to dance? And I say, no, I cannot teach you. Why? Because you need to flow and feel the rhythm. So they want me to teach them by counting. So when I count, I get lost. So most of the time in our lives, we're counting. And those are the veils that I'm talking about, the veils of what we cannot do or not do. So for me, flow, and I wanted something to share here. We have a puppy that you've seen probably. Her name is Happy, right? So this is going to be like a joke or I don't know. So when we see the little puppy and we caress the puppy, it goes like this. He looks at you, no reaction, nothing, but just pure feelings towards you. And then it was the tail, right? I think we should do it backwards. The face should be the back, and the front should be. So for me, joy is on the back. So whatever you're doing, you're just feeling it, right? The joy. So joy is a feeling. That's how I see it. Joy should be constant. Of course, it's not constant because our thoughts are blocking them. So that's what I'm learning by meditating, and I think because we're all connected somehow. This joy is love, is pure, it's like everything together. And briefly, I share something about Puppy. It's a little boy by the name of Shane, and his little puppy died. And he had cancer, I'm sorry, and the family decided to put him to sleep. So they went to the veterinarian, it's a nice story, and they said, we need to put him to sleep. And Shane was there, 6-year-old. And the 6-year-old were there, they put the shot, and he was, with the dog going like this, and he said, what, he's gone. I mean, he's in heaven. Then suddenly, they wanted the boy to experience what the dog was going through with the family. And then what happens was, suddenly the family thought that the little boy was going to cry, sorrow, projections of the parents or programming, whatever we want to call it. And the little boy reacted very nicely because of the innocence and all that, still 6-year-old. And then he overheard the parents talking, and they said, I don't know why dogs should live that short. They should live longer because, look at Shane. So they were talking as parents. The little boy heard, and the little boy just approached the parents and said, I know why. I can give you an answer. Puppy already understand what unconditional love is all about.
Wow.
They understand what purity and all that is all about. Yeah.
Wow.
But parents and adults and human beings, they live longer because it takes them longer. So that's for me. Thank you.
Wow, what a beautiful story. Wow. It's a beautiful story, Julio. It is.
There's a saying in Indian culture, well, it's not just Indian, but where there's truth, the soul dances. It's all over. It's a universal. Where there's truth, the soul dances. Or where there's truth, you dance. And so in India, they always go like that. So the bobbling of the head is... So hello, Mr. Truth. Please share with me your final comments, and then we'll go into meditation and gifts.
I was thinking about the relationship of love to peace, and innocence to peace and love and joy, and the relationship of truth to all of those. And understanding that relationship helps us to understand the real value of truth. Because I think that love and peace and joy can flow when we can claim at least part of that innocence, that when we can claim that part of ourselves that's not affected by all the baggage we've picked up. So how does truth relate to all that? Well, truth is what gives us the power to understand that, so that we can begin to let go of those, make the choice to let go of those things that we don't need. And, something you said, Sister Jenna, was you were talking about how complex karma is. And yeah, it is complex when we think about it. But when we choose really not to think about it and just to really go with it, we can understand how simple it really is. If I struggle making decisions a lot, and I can be free of that struggle, though, when I just use one thing to guide me, when I recognize whether or not this decision is based in good wishes and pure feelings. Then it's simple. Then I don't have to struggle with any choice. Because when I make a choice based in good wishes, pure feelings, in other words, based in love, then I know that I'm always going to have the most powerful outcome. I'm always going to have the most joy that I possibly can in that situation. I always know that I'm going to achieve the highest result when I make a decision that's based in good feelings, pure wishes, essentially based in love. And so understanding that gives me some power, gives me some incentive to make that choice. And to me, I see that as the real value of truth. And it all comes down to the really essence of knowing who we are. When we teach the Raj Yoga course, that's the first lesson we teach, is who I am. Who am I? You see it up, I guess, yes, we can see it there. It's written up there on the wall. Who am I? who am I? And understanding that we each are this, at our essence, we're this beautiful soul that's been on a journey. And if we can get that in our intellect and really connect with that understanding of ourselves and see everyone else that way, life is easy. It's easy to make the right choices, the most powerful choices. So, Sister Jenna, will you take us on a little short meditation?
No, I
To that
won't.
point? No?
But I do want to thank all the brothers for an incredible conversation and all of you for being with us today. Thank you so very much. And just in closing, I think we've all shared from our own personal perspective, and you have listened in your personal perspective. And when we come into action, things get clearer. It might not have made sense now, but somehow, some way, whenever I hear truth, it'll move me at a time of need. We are here to move on, and what that means for me, to be energy that keeps flowing goodness. And if for whatever reason I'm not in a good place, it means there's something blocking my truth. And so I need to gain more awareness about that. And I think what I picked up from your sharings, brothers, is that karma is an action, and what I was sharing is check your intentions behind your actions, but accept where you are so that you can be accountable and not blame anyone for something, but rather to pay attention to what you're capable of creating for your story, because it eventually has a collective impact on the level of the world, so to speak. So thank you all for sharing your stories and being a part of the conversation. The brothers will all give you a gift before you leave. And so what we will do is just have just a moment or two of meditation and reflection. And you're welcome to spend time with them after as well, and share as much as you'd like. Sister Gita's bazaar in the back, not bizarre, but bazaar, of all the incredible items from India are at your fingertips. So if you'd really like to create good karma by creating getting a nice gift for someone that you care for without any expectations, you are welcome to go to the bazaar afterwards. But also there's a quiet room here if you just want to go in and just take a moment of silence, okay?
I was just thinking of the famous book, The Brothers Karamazov, but here we have the Brothers Karmarazov.
And on that note, we will just spend a few moments of silence, and thank you all so much again. So just sit up straight and relax, and then we'll just do a few moments of reflection.
Om Shanti. I sit quietly. I turn inwards. I visualize the point of light, the source of energy that I am. I am located in the center of my forehead. I am a being of light. In this awareness, rays of light extend into my physical body, and the light soothes and heals and energizes my entire physical system. The body becomes calm and relaxes. All the tension melts away. And the body becomes quiet and peaceful. now my mind becomes free to go into the depth of the inner being. Already, the speed of my thoughts has slowed down, and now I choose not to let my thoughts be distracted by the physical body, not to look at the scenes outside, nor to listen to the sounds outside, but to focus on that which is within my own inner being. I can feel peace within myself. I discover I am peace. Peace isn't something outside of me. Peace is within me. I can savor the sweetness of the feeling of peace. Peace is my own natural quality. This is how I used to be. And now that I know this, I am this. And I can be this whenever I choose. In this awareness of peace, the vibrations of peace extend into my entire physical system. And my body returns to a state of harmony, a state of good health. The vibrations of peace spread out into the room, and from this room out into the world. And with every thought of peace, I make a contribution towards peace in the world. Om Shanti.